I've taken 18 doses of a GLP-1 known as Tirzepatide, and it has changed my life. I am down 47.6 pounds. My name is Tiara, and this is my channel, My Shot at Life, where I share my weight loss journey on a GLP-1. I started my GLP-1 journey at the beginning of August of 2025, and I was weighing 302 pounds. This morning, I weighed in at 255.1 pounds. Everybody's GLP-1 journey looks a little different, and I want to give some pros and cons of GLP-1 journey. Some of it is from my own experience, and some of it is just from what I have gained learning from others. Here at the beginning of a new year, it's a really good time to think about how you want to improve yourself this year, and if you have a goal to lose weight, a GLP-1 could be for you. Maybe you're not looking for weight loss, maybe you're just looking for food noise to be quieted. GLP-1s are really good at that. As I was making my pros and cons list, I didn't do like a pro and then a con like about the same kind of issue, but some of them will line up. So I'm going to list a pro and then I will list a con, and they don't necessarily coincide with each other. A pro of being on a GLP-1, I'm going with the most obvious one first, is the weight loss. As I said at the beginning of this video, I have lost 47 pounds, and it has only been 4 months that I've started taking these injections. Weighing 302 pounds is not a fun place to be. Weighing 255 pounds, as I do now, is still not a fun place to be. It's not my goal place that I want to be, but I don't think that I could have lost this much without a GLP-1. One of the cons of being on a GLP-1 are the side effects. I have been very blessed so far that I really haven't experienced many side effects. I have had sulfur burps, which aren't fun, but they're not painful. And I have had some constipation when I'm not taking enough fiber. If I'm not eating enough vegetables or taking fiber supplements, then I do experience some constipation. Lovely topic, I know. Another pro is that food noise is quieted, which leads to food freedom. I have been a carb addict all of my life. I love carbs. I do not crave them hardly ever anymore. Now, around the holidays, I did have carbs, and I did want to indulge a little bit into that, but it was not debilitating to me. I was still losing weight, even if it slowed down some. And now that the holidays are over, I have not experienced any of the craving for carbs, sugars, things that are not healthy for me. So that is a huge, huge win. Another con is muscle mass shrinkage. If you are not working your muscles on a GLP-1, your body will start to take that muscle mass and use it for energy because it's trying to go into survival mode. So if you're not working your muscles, it's use it or lose it kind of a thing. A pro is energy levels. I feel so much more energized and able to do things more than I did before I was on a GLP-1. That could be because of weight loss. I'm not saying a GLP-1 is going to give you energy, but the weight loss that comes from being on a GLP-1, it can help you to be able to move around more, to do more things, to feel like you can accomplish more in your day. Now, a con is sticking yourself with a needle. It can be quite a psychological block to watch yourself impale yourself, basically. And it can be a little bit scary. And I know some people really struggle with like fear of needles and having to do that kind of a thing. It almost feels like you're harming yourself, even though it's just a tiny little needle. It really is tiny. The GLP-1 that I take is in an insulin needle, and it's quite small. I know a lot of companies will send a preloaded syringe. You can't really see yourself inject yourself, which might be a little bit more helpful, especially if you're trying to inject like on your arm. It's a little bit easier to do that with the preloaded syringes than it is with the insulin syringe. If you struggle with sticking yourself with a needle, it might be helpful to get somebody else to do it for you. I personally cannot inject on somebody else. I only can inject on myself. But there are people that are capable of injecting into other people. Going back to the pro side is that you can enjoy more things in life. Before I was on a GLP-1, I could just sit on the couch and play games on my phone, scroll through social media, watch videos, and I could spend almost all day just sitting. But I have found that I can enjoy things around my home more, and I don't find myself just sitting for a long extended period of time. I also feel more comfortable in public, which makes it easier that since I've lost the weight, I can go to town and feel more comfortable doing things that other people will see me doing. Okay, one of the big cons of being on a GLP-1 is the cost. It can be quite pricey to be on a GLP-1, especially as you get into the higher doses. I know some companies have one set price for your month, which can be a good way to go if you are looking to save money, especially as you get into the higher doses. It can be a lot more expensive. I pay for a compounded Tirzepatide, which is not through a company that will send it to me in the box. I go to the pharmacy and I pick it up. And for my bottle that I get, which is quite a small little bottle, it is $325. I am on a Tirzepatide, which is more expensive than something like a Semaglutide. It's also twice as effective. Now back to the pro side. This is totally just a girly thing, but one of the pros for me is wearing more clothes that I love. Being at the size that I have been and the size that I am now, I have not felt like I can wear my true style. Now that I'm getting back into clothes that I haven't worn for quite a while, I realized that I have missed that so much, and I just kind of went to where I was just dressing for comfort, dressing to cover up. I know a lot of people talk about that as well in their weight loss journey, is they have liked to just cover up and hide their shape, wearing dark colors. And I haven't really been into wearing the dark colors as much, but definitely wearing clothes that hide my shape. And my true style is that I like to show my shape a little bit more. Now, this is a con that kind of aligns with the clothing. That is, buying new clothes can be expensive as well. As you lose weight, getting smaller, you can't wear your old clothes anymore. And sometimes you have to say goodbye to clothes that you really have loved. If you're not into clothes, I'm sorry, but these are just my own personal experiences. Another pro of being on a GLP-1 is that you start to love yourself more and to care for yourself more as well. I don't know if it's just putting that effort into your health, into your looks. I don't know if it's that. I don't know if it's having success in something. It is very confidence building. And yes, it is okay to love yourself. You should love yourself. You should care for yourself. If you cannot care for yourself, it is way harder to care for others. If you cannot love yourself, it is way harder to love others as well. One of the cons that I really dislike about a GLP-1 is the stigma. In our society, we have so many different voices, different opinions, and there is so much stigma about being on a weight loss drug. Sometimes when my husband and I are at a store out in public, sometimes we'll be talking about food and he'll be like, oh yeah, we can have this, it'll be good, like as we're on our GLP-1. And I'm like, shh, be quiet. Nobody has to know. And maybe that's just because I feel like people are going to look at me and be like, oh, I'm going to do the opposite of whatever she's doing, and just kind of like judge that. If I am buying like sweet stuff, carbs, they're going to be like, oh, that's how she got to that size. Or maybe I'm buying healthy stuff and they're like, psh, like it's about time. This is just me being in my own head about it. I've never had anybody comment anything like that or make mean looks at all. It just is my own mind. It's way easier for people to comment about stuff like that on social media because they can hide behind their screen. They don't have to say it face to face. I have not had any bad comments, even on social media, which I'm very thankful for. I'm not sure what I will do when that day comes because I'm quite tender-hearted. So yes, the stigma is difficult to deal with. Another pro about being on a GLP-1 is that it's more customizable than you might think. Now, I would definitely say to confer with your doctor, your medical professional that is prescribing you this GLP-1 and talk about your dose with them and see what they have to say, explain to them, advocate for yourself if need be, and get yourself on the dose that you need to be on. Especially if you are experiencing more food noise, you might need to dose up. If you are having more side effects, you might need to dose down. So your dose is more customizable than you think. A con of being on a GLP-1 are the weight loss stalls. It is very frustrating when you are paying this money and you are stabbing yourself basically every week and you are not losing any weight. That is really hard. It kind of feels like a waste of time, a waste of money. And it is hard when you are on a weight loss stall and you are taking this medication that is supposed to make you lose weight. But refer back to my previous pro because there are things that you can do to help with your weight loss stalls. Back to the pros. You still get to enjoy the foods that you love. Now the con that will correspond to that is that you have to have smaller portion sizes of the foods that you love. That was one thing that I was actually really disappointed about for Thanksgiving is I saw all of my favorite foods and I could only eat a little bit of it. And here I was looking forward to enjoying that and that dopamine hit, my taste buds having a little party, and I could not eat very much. In fact, I didn't even eat everything that there was to have, and I was super sad about it. Going back to the pros is injecting yourself only once a week. When I first started my GLP-1, I took my first shot and I was like, okay, that wasn't too bad. Now I'm kind of excited to do it again tomorrow. And then I had to stop myself and be like, no. This is one time a week. I'm not dosing every single day, which is a very, very good thing. I'm pretty sure you'd get sore from injecting every single day. Plus, that's a lot of money. I do know some people do split doses. If they're taking a 5 milligram dose, then they can split it and do 2.5 at the beginning of the week and in the middle of the week do another 2.5. It's customizable like that. Now, this could be a con that's very specific to me, and that is that you have to pay more attention to the nutrition that you are receiving. I have never been one to count calories, focus on protein, fiber, and it is definitely a mindset shift where I have to be like, oh, I guess I do need protein, I do need fiber, and focusing on those kind of things, it is a little bit more difficult. You have to have more presence of mind and be more just mindful of what you are going to eat. If you can only eat this much food in a day, you want it to be the healthiest that it can be. If you're eating junk, you're not going to get the nutrition that you need. Another pro is that being on a GLP-1, it can kind of take away the need to count your calories. Now, some people do still count their calories on a GLP-1. My doctor told me that I needed to shoot for somewhere between 1,500 calories and 1,800 calories a day. And I was pretty good about it. I made a list of foods that I could have in a day, and I was tracking it on my app. And then I realized I wasn't actually hungry enough to eat 1,800 calories. And I just kind of listened to my body now. That being said, it is good to have data. If you are on a weight loss stall, you might need to start counting your calories. Which brings me to another con, and that is comparing your weight loss journey on a GLP-1 with somebody else's. I can't say whether or not I've lost weight quickly on a GLP-1. Some people have done it faster than me. Some people do it slower. I feel like I'm probably just average. I'm an average girl. So it can be very discouraging to see other people's journey on a GLP-1 and they are having more success than you are having. Now, a pro, the ability to move more. Now, this can kind of coincide with your energy levels, but I think it's very specific that when you have had all of this weight to carry around, it is so much easier just doing basic things. Getting off the couch, going on a walk, going upstairs, some things that would get me out of breath. They don't do that anymore. This morning, I was able to walk on the treadmill for 25 minutes, and I was at a higher speed than I typically am. I do still sweat, but I am feeling a lot better with my movement, and I don't feel like I get tired as easily anymore. So the ability to move more is really just the ability to live your life more. Now, a con, and that is still working out. Some people love to work out, and I really do not. I sometimes really like it. Sometimes I despise it and dread it. Right now, I'm kind of like in the middle where I'll do it. I will do it and I will get it over with. If it's not something that I enjoy doing, I will not do it. That being said, I know it's very important to work out, especially on a GLP-1. Work those muscles so that you don't have your muscle mass shrinkage. Now, I do actually have one more con, not a pro this time, but another con, and that is that some people won't even notice your weight loss. I've lost 47 pounds, and it's kind of wild to me that nobody has said anything other than the people that I'm close to, people in my family. I haven't had anybody that I'm not related to comment on my weight loss, and maybe that's just because that can be an awkward kind of a conversation. But when you've been overweight like I have, not just overweight, but morbidly obese, it can feel really good when people start to notice that you are losing weight. And so far, I mean, other than people that I'm close to, nobody has said anything. How does somebody lose 47 pounds and it is not noticed? How? I guess I was just a huge person. So all of the pros and cons that I have listed, I definitely feel like the pros outweigh the cons by far. I did have one more con than I did pro, but just because it was one more thing on the list does not mean that the cons are more important than the pros are. A GLP-1 has really, really blessed my life. I have gained confidence. I have lost weight. I feel like I am finding myself again. I didn't even know that I had lost myself. I had kind of a body dysmorphia kind of a thing going on where I didn't know how big I was. I just knew that I wasn't able to move around as well. I was never in pain, but I wasn't able to move around as well. And I just did not feel good about myself. And now the strangest thing is happening where I feel like I can invest in myself more, that I feel like my worth is coming to show. The worth that I've had this whole time is coming to show. Now, I'm not sponsored or affiliated with any kind of a GLP-1 brand. So if you are interested in starting a GLP-1, if you have not already, then I would highly encourage you to talk to your doctor, do your research, talk to people who you know that are on a GLP-1, or even commenting on YouTube videos of people that are on this journey. I know you can get discount codes from people. There are so many companies out there that are doing GLP-1s. There is help available. If you have any pros or cons that I did not mention in this video, or if you agree with the ones that I have mentioned, let me know in the comments down below. Thank you for taking this shot at life with me, and I will see you next time.